Hey there, empowered peeps. This is Ryane to the rescue, and my co-host today is Aspen, my fluffy, precious dog. And today we're going to be talking about grooming your dog. Now, in general, dogs have two different kinds of coats. One is long hair that does not shed, but you do have to groom it. And another is short hair and it does shed, but you don't have to groom it. So I guess you pick your poison. She is the kind that does not shed, but you do have to groom her. I happen to love when her fur gets long like this. It's especially precious and she just looks like a teddy bear. But if I let it go any longer, it is at risk for getting a lot of mats in it. So that's not good for her, and it's not good for me. So I groom my dog myself because I actually enjoy the process of caring for her, and also I like to save money, if we're gonna be honest about it. And a lot of people with long-haired dogs, they take them to the groomers, and that's a great option too. So in my process, it really is a 2-day process. The first day, I will comb out her hair really good with this comb. And this comb, every other tooth in it rotates around. And I'm not sure the science behind it, but it really, really helps getting tangles out. So I'm gonna comb her fur out really, really good, step by step. And even her ears. I took her for a walk the other day, so she even has a few stickers in there. But I'll comb out all of the tangles, and if there are any mats that I'm not able to comb out, then I will just trim those out. So I'm not going to make you watch that whole process, but I'm going to comb her out now, and then we'll pop her in the sink for a nice bath. Alrighty, now I have her all combed out. You may notice that she has a completely different texture now. She used to have all of these little bouncy curls all over her body, and now her hair is more fluffy because I combed all of those curls out. So she didn't have any mats this time, so that's a win. And I got her ears combed out and her face combed out. And my dog is especially sensitive on her tail, so I combed her tail out very, very gently. She turns around and keeps an eye on me to make sure I'm doing it right. So I combed it out very, very gently so that it wouldn't hurt her too much. So there we go. And I keep all of my dog washing supplies right underneath the sink in a handy dandy bucket because I love to organize, and that brings me great peace to have my home organized. And someday I'll do a whole video on organizing. That'll be fun. But one thing that I would highly recommend is that you store things where you use things. So I bathe Aspen here in the sink. So I keep her doggy bathing supplies right here underneath the sink. So here I have shampoo and conditioner, and these things I put on her for later. And I already have warm water in the sink ready to go. It's about 3 to 4 inches full of warm water, and I have the stopper in there. So let's get started, shall we, Aspen? So I am going to set her down in the sink. Now I'm going to get her nice and wet with water that's warm, probably about the same as you would use for a baby. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Now, you want to make sure that you do not get water down in their ear canal. So you can spray water on the back of their ears and the water will run down the back but not on the front. You don't want it to go down in the canal. If water does go down in the canal, no matter how compliant your dog is, they will shake their head to try to get that water out. So if you keep the water on the back of their ear, then you're going to have a more compliant bone. Also, you can get their neck and chest and everything, and it's perfectly fine to get their eyes. Most dogs don't mind that at all. Their eyes are not nearly as sensitive as ours are, but you do not want to get it in their snout, okay? So protect that snout and protect the ear canal. Alrighty, now I have her good and wet. So now I'm actually going to take the plunger out, and I'm going to start using shampoo. We'll start on her face. This is gentle puppy shampoo, and it's formulated to be okay even if I were to get it in her eyes. I'm going to try not to get it in her eyes, but just in case I do, it won't bother her. Now the ears, they need to get good and clean, because when we go for walks, she drags those on the ground and picks up every burr and piece of dirt and grass along the way. She has her own little collection when we get back home. Get all the suds out. It is important that you get all of the suds out, because it will irritate their skin if you leave some soap in there on their skin. And also, the soap will, even if it's just a little bit, it will be sticky and it will attract more dirt. So they'll get dirty faster if you don't get all of the suds out. So spend some time on this part, making sure you get it all out. All right, Aspen is a really good girl, very compliant. Now, with many dogs that are light colored dogs, white or pale like Aspen, many times they have a problem with eye staining. So if you're going to groom them yourself, then you'll want to spend some time cleaning this area by their eyes. So they'll be totally fine with it. Just give it a good clean with the warm water. That should rinse it out nicely. And then some shampoo will take out the staining. Now, as you can see, I use shampoo and conditioner in pumps. And the reason for that is because it's really convenient to be able to do it one-handed. Especially if your dog is super wiggly, then you will need to have one hand free to keep that on your dog, and the other hand available for getting the shampoo or the conditioner. So you may skip the step of conditioner, but I like to have Aspen's fur as soft as I possibly can, and so I do use conditioner now, and then I also use a conditioner when it's dry. All right, now she's all clean and conditioned. So what I'm going to do, I have 2 towels here, And what I'm gonna do is, and don't let your hand off of your dog at this point, because they will shake immediately, especially their head. So if you keep your hand on their head, then they won't shake. And then wrap them up. Okay? So now she's wrapped up and I can dry her while she's in here. And I don't need to worry about shaking because she probably won't when she's in the towel, but even if she does try to shake, then the water isn't going to go anywhere except for in the towel. Another thing that I do at this point while she's all soaking wet is I take this product that I got from my vet, and it is made specifically for long-haired dogs because they have a higher risk of getting infections down inside of their ear canal. Now what this is, it's a solution that cleans their ears and dries their ears and keeps those little microbes from growing in there. So it's liquid and you'll be pouring it right down into their ear canal. So obviously they're going to want to shake like crazy when you put it in there. You put it in and you kind of rub it, kind of massage it into their ear canal. So I'm going to go ahead and do both. There we go. You fill it up and then you massage it. Then you hold on to their head because they are definitely going to want to shake. So I'm going to dry her off a little bit more with this towel. And then I like to take her out on my driveway or on my patio and let her shake like a crazy freak because she's definitely going to do that. And I don't want her to do it in the house because there's still going to be water particles flying everywhere. And then I will continue drying her a little bit more with this additional towel. So now we go outside and let her shake. I take my little burrito outside. Now, if you choose to allow your dog to shake outside, you're going to want to make sure to keep them on the concrete, on your patio or your driveway or something like that. If you allow them to go on the grass, they will definitely start rolling in the grass and rubbing their ears and rolling all around. They think they're drying themselves off, and they're just going to make a big mess, especially if they happen to get to dirt. So then you'll be kicking yourself because you just bathed them and then they're dirty again. That's the voice of experience speaking. So now I'm going to prepare for our next step, which will actually happen tomorrow. I use this Wahl shaver to groom my sweet Aspen. And so the shaver looks like this, and it has a rechargeable battery. So I take this opportunity to charge up the battery today and then overnight, and that way it'll be good and charged up for tomorrow. So I pop that in here. And that is what's recommended because a shaver is supposed to be used, this kind of shaver anyway, is supposed to be used on totally dry fur. Totally, completely dry. Not a little bit wet, not even damp, no moisture whatsoever. And so dog's fur can hang on to that moisture for quite a while. So the recommendation when I bought this razor was that you bathe your dog one day and then you actually cut the fur the next day. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alrighty, now it's day 2 of the grooming project. Aspen is nice and dry and clean and fluffy and soft, and I have the rechargeable battery of the shaver all charged up and ready to roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this guard on. That's an extra long guard. It's a 1/2 inch guard. And I bought this one separately. This razor came with several of these plastic guards, but I don't want her hair to be too short, so I bought this longer guard. And you'll see that when I shave her, she will actually be quite a bit shorter. Now, I bathe Aspen about 2 or 3 times a month, but I groom her about every 3 months. So that's why I go a little shorter, and then she has 3 whole months for her hair to grow out long again. So now she's about at the max length that I like for her to get, only because, as I mentioned before, she gets really matted if I go longer than this. Don't you, sweet girl. So now, let's get started. She's gonna try to run off. You put this part forward and you go along the skin like this. The actual cutting part is right up here. So as you glide along the dog's skin, the cutter is actually a ½ inch away from their actual skin. So you're not at risk for cutting their skin. Now, it's a matter of preference how much you cut off around and under the ears. You can leave a whole bunch of this fur here. I cut all of this off around the ear. That way I have a nice clean line of what is ear and what is body. So I'll be trimming that a little bit more. Now, when I get to her face, what I'm going to do is trim some of her fur with these simple school scissors from when my kids were in school. And I think I have fur in my nose. And I will trim around her eyes. So let me demonstrate. Gather that fur that's right on the bridge of her nose. And then cut it off. There we go. Voila, now she has eyeballs. I'm not going to trim her face too much because I like for it to remain the pom-pom kind of face look. If I groom her face along the contour of her bone structure, then she will have a completely different look after I'm done. And of course, she's still adorable either way, but I really enjoy the pom-pom looking face. So I leave that as much as I can, but I will need to trim it a little bit so that she doesn't look like a scraggly little ragamuffin. So I'll trim her head with scissors. A lot shorter already, isn't she? As you can see, her tail fur is a lot curlier right here, and then it gets straighter down here. So I'm going to cut off these pretty curls. Now what I'm going to do to get her legs is sit like this so that I can cradle her in my legs and then give her a comfortable place to lay, and I can keep her relatively still here. Then for her unmentionable areas, I will give it a trim with the scissors and not with the clippers. A word to the wise when trimming a dog's arms and legs, at least this is the way Aspen responds to me, is when I pull her leg out to shave it, she always pulls it back. So if I want to pull it out, see, she's pulling it away from me. If I want to pull it out and then shave it, she's always going to pull it back. That's just her instinct. So the better way for me to shave it is to leave it crunched up. So I'm going to let her keep her leg all flexed up, and then she can't pull it away from me if it's already flexed up. So I am going to shave her leg while it's flexed up rather than trying to pull it out and then she snaps it back. So I let her stay curled up, and then I just try to shave it in that place. Now, I think I'm pretty pleased with her haircut. What do you think? Does she look adorable? I think you look pretty awesome, Aspen. Now, I'm going to use some of this. This is a product that I just had under my sink, so it's not anything that I would necessarily recommend that you go out and buy, but it works pretty nice and it smells pretty good on her fur. It conditions it and it makes it shiny and smooth. You may use any other product that you think would be good for your dog, and that is not formulated specifically for dogs. That is for humans. So then I just gently rub that over her ears, all over, and then I'll put an extra dose on her tail. Now I hope you feel comfortable using a razor and grooming your own dog, and I hope that I have equipped you to master new skills, and I want to remind you that we can do it! Now Aspen needs to get a treat and I need to do laundry.